All right, so we're talking about bad broker behavior. The next topic we're going to talk about is what we call surplus lines or managing general agency abuse. A little explanation here. There are legitimate reasons for retail brokers, for the brokers that you work with, that clients work with, to go to surplus lines brokers or managing general agencies. These are intermediaries. They're instead of the broker having direct access to an insurance company, they will send an application to a surplus lines broker who will then send it on to one of their insurance companies. And typically for a surplus lines broker, surplus lines typically means coverages that are a little unusual, like earthquake or perhaps liability insurance for a difficult risk, maybe a tough product that's being sold with a lot of liability exposure. So because these are fairly rare, surplus lines brokers represent kind of an aggregation of the tough business, of the earthquake business and the tough product business. And they have access to insurance companies that specialize in those. So they concentrate the volume of placement with those insurance companies. They concentrate their relationship. Again, relationships being important in business insurance negotiating. So they perform a good legitimate function. Managing general agencies are a little bit different. They're often called MGAs for short. When an insurance company wants to open in a new territory, it's obviously very expensive to open an office. So a lot of times what an insurance company will do is they will contract with a managing general agency, an MGA, to do the underwriting for them. And typically an MGA will have many insurance companies for whom they're underwriting at the same time. So these intermediaries between the retail broker and the ultimate insurance company can perform a legitimate function. However, there is great abuse that takes place with regard to these intermediaries. One of the things that takes place is that if there is a tough product that's being worked on or earthquake is being worked on, sometimes what we see brokers do is they'll actually send an application to multiple surplus lines brokerage firms, surplus lines agencies. And when they do this, they basically prevent any other broker from bidding because they've locked up all the surplus lines agencies that are out there. There typically aren't that many. They're not like the large number of retail brokers. They're typically in any region, there's a small handful of surplus lines agencies. So, that's one thing that we see occasionally, bad broker behavior in an effort to defeat competition is to send an application to multiple surplus lines agencies, when in reality, usually a broker only needs to access a single surplus lines agency for a tough placement, a tough piece of insurance. With regard to managing general agencies, we see the same thing. They may send an application to every managing general agency in an effort to defeat competition. So very important that clients, when they are assigning insurance companies for competition, ask the brokers not only what are the names of the insurance companies, but give me the name of any intermediary that you plan to use. There's another form of abuse that takes place in the blocking and flooding category, and this is really done by these intermediaries. I mean, they know that the typical scenario involves assigning insurance companies to each individual broker, but they on their own often flood the market. They don't wait for assignments. They don't ask if they're assignments. They go ahead and flood the market. The only way a client can really control this is by holding the broker accountable that you are working with. And again, be very specific and ask the brokers not only what are the names of the insurance companies that you'll approach, what are the names of any intermediaries that you will approach, any middlemen, if you will. And that's one way you can control this abuse.